Welcome to The Connector, where we connect North Carolina to ideas and North Carolinians to each other. This podcast series is from the Institute for Emerging Issues at North Carolina State University. And now to the conversation.
Welcome to The Connector. I'm your host, Samantha Graham, Director of Community Initiatives with the Institute for Emerging Issues at NC State University. Today, I'm excited to welcome Megan Anderson, Sustainability Director with the City of Raleigh, to the podcast. Welcome, Megan.
Thank you. Really excited to be here.
So here at IEI, we like to tackle topics that will affect all North Carolinians in the near future. More than 14 million people are excited to call North Carolina home by 2050. So our next series of Emerging Issues forums will focus on an issue of critical importance to our economic well-being, ensuring we have a highly coordinated, future-forward infrastructure plan to meet this demand. Over the next 3 years, IEI will focus on three key interrelated issues: energy, water, and housing, while also folding in other key infrastructure challenges and opportunities involving transportation and broadband. We will explore themes within these issues affecting workforce, affordability, and resiliency. Today, we'd like to focus on what the City of Raleigh is doing to address these challenges. Megan, you've been involved in sustainability programming in Raleigh for nearly 10 years. During this time, the city has experienced significant growth, and with that growth has come some growing pains. What challenges have you observed, and how has the city worked to address them?
Yeah, no, that is a great question. So, as you mentioned, Raleigh has really grown exponentially. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the country. And with that comes a lot of great opportunity and a lot of challenge as well. So, Raleigh is really a city that's rich in resources and opportunity. However, that opportunity is sometimes not accessible to everyone, and there is a growing divide for some people in access to some resources. For example, we found that there's a 12-year life expectancy gap between zip codes in Raleigh, and it's really difficult to really unpack exactly what's causing this, but we know many things contribute to quality of life differences, such as access to resources, transportation, healthcare, jobs, green spaces, food options, information, and many other things. And so we have to really think about how we can tackle that and make sure we're bringing everybody up and along with us as we grow and develop and change over time as a growing city. And so a few things that we work on really look at creating equitable access to various things. So energy savings is one. So energy burden is an issue, growing costs for utilities in general in North Carolina, around the country, especially knowing that climate change is changing and causing even more burden on your energy bills. And so we work on various things. One program that we're really proud of, and actually Raleigh can be really proud of in general, is we broke national records and created a Solarize program. So this was a program that we partnered with several other, over a dozen different local governments and organizations around the region. And we came together and we were doing cost sharing to provide solar for folks. So it brought the costs way down. We had best practice organizations that we were working with. And then we also had a pilot, which was the first of its kind, to provide solar for low-income individuals, because really the upfront costs are a burden for some people, and those that could benefit the most from the program may not be able to afford those upfront costs. So that program was really successful. We ran 2 years of it. You can't keep going with a program like that because you kind of meet a critical mass, and then you need to kind of come back with it later. We're working on some ideas for a second phase of that would offer other things besides just solar for folks as well, to bring down costs. We've done a lot of pilots around affordable housing. So that's another big challenge here around affordability. And so we're looking to make sure that housing is affordable. And when it is, it's the most sustainable. So how do we bring down costs again and make it a high quality of life? So that might look like highly energy efficient buildings, access to clean energy with EV vehicles and solar as well, green infrastructure. I'll talk more about this, but flooding and heat are two of the biggest impacts in Raleigh. So we're always looking at how do we make our infrastructure more resilient in that way. And then finally, I'll mention EVs. So Raleigh, again, is a leader in this space, thinking about how we're transitioning to cleaner fuel technologies. We are transitioning our own fleet to electric, and we have thousands and thousands of vehicles. So that is a large undertaking for us. But just as important is to think about, we don't want to be in the business of owning all that charging for the entire community, but we can make sure that everybody is getting access along the way. So we're thinking about that from the same as kind of what we talked about with solar. The upfront costs maybe right now are a little high for everyone to take part, but those costs are quickly coming down. And also, we have our buildings and infrastructure for 50 years or longer. And if we're not thinking about putting in charging in places for folks that you may not be thinking about right now for EVs, they're going to miss out on the opportunity to participate. So things like multifamily housing and other areas, we're trying to make sure that there's accessibility for charging and thinking about public-private partnerships and things as well. And as I mentioned, so Raleigh is also a challenge around we're a car-centric culture here, and it is our largest source of greenhouse gas emissions. So we are doing many things to try to help change that. Mentioning kind of working on EVs and trying to make the cars that we're in cleaner, and then also just trying to get people out of their cars when we can as well. And so there's a lot of exciting things happening around bus rapid transit rolling out. We have a mix of electric vehicles or electric buses, as well as another really exciting project around transportation. We have an anaerobic digester project. So it's called our bioenergy project. We've been working on this for over a decade. And we're actually going to be turning our wastewater into renewable natural gas to run the majority of our buses that are going to take people around the city. And so I think people are thinking, oh, that sounds cool. But if you really think about it, we are turning what you flush down the toilet into fuel for our vehicles. That is super innovative. And I'm so excited. It's really the project, again, we've been working on for a really long time, and it's about to really, really have our ribbon cutting here pretty soon. So really excited about that. And then we're doing a lot around micromobility, which basically means how do we get people around not in cars when you're walking, biking, scootering, all those different things as well. So lots to talk about, and I'll just stop there. Just a few examples.
That all sounds so amazing. I would love to go on a tour of this new facility, and I think that would be of interest to a lot of people.
Yeah, I would love to invite you, and we will be having a ribbon cutting, so I will share that information with you. And just if you get on a bus, you'll know that you're doing something really sustainable in ways you didn't even know when you get on that bus, knowing how we're fueling a lot of them.
Sounds so innovative. So we've been discussing the concept of resiliency in its many forms through our forum topics and programming. What efforts is Raleigh undertaking to prepare the city for growth, as well as for natural disasters, future pandemics, or financial challenges?
Mm-hmm. So as you mentioned, so resiliency is really, really important to the work we do. And I'll mention Raleigh can be really proud again. We have one of the first climate plans in the country that focuses not only on that greenhouse gas reduction, but just as important is that building community resilience to the impacts of climate change and addressing community health, equity, environmental justice as well. And so with that in mind, resiliency really can mean a lot of things in the community. So one part of that is the infrastructure. So how do we make our infrastructure more resilient, as well as how do we make our actual neighborhoods more resilient? And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But for me, that means kind of that social cohesion and making sure people are talking to each other. They know each other. They know what each other needs, so they can help each other day to day, and they can help each other in an emergency as well. And so that part, that social fabric, is really important too. So we're doing things to look at our infrastructure and also that social fabric at the same time. So as I mentioned, flooding and heat are two of the biggest climate impacts here in Raleigh, the region, in the country, around the world. Those are pretty big impacts, and we're seeing more and more extreme weather temperatures that are just causing more issues for people as well. And we're seeing just longer periods of these things as well. So that can really take a toll on people, their pocketbooks, the environment, the habitats and things as well. So we're doing many things. When we think about that empowerment piece, we have a really exciting program that we've been running for a really long time with a local organization called Partners for Environmental Justice. We have a watershed learning action network. And so that group, we actually get local community members that are most impacted by flooding and empower them to learn. They go through a cohort together. They do projects together, and then they also are learning about what does it mean? What does flooding really look like? What are the legal implications? How do you work with the city on these things? We learn a lot about the issues going on in the community as well in these areas. And then we kind of work together. I actually learn more from them than they may learn from us during that project. They get paid for their time, and then they do projects together, and they become kind of a train the trainer model. So we actually were able to make that program even bigger with some grant funding from NOAA. And we then are now expanding that to heat work as well. So we have we have learning networks around flooding, and we have learning networks around heat. And then we're also working on, we have a Ready Raleigh Emergency Preparedness Guide that we worked with several different departments and partners on. We actually created that before the pandemic and then looked back and said, wow, we didn't do too bad of a job of talking about how you prepare for something like that time. And what I love about that is that actually is still helping us with that social fabric. Of course, that information in there is really important, but then you can organize around that. Even our police and fire department have been leaders and saying, hey, we're already going out and talking to the community. Can we have packing parties? You come together and you pack together what you would need in an emergency. You learn about each other. You learn about who might have medicine that has to be refrigerated, who has maybe several kids that might need help from day to day or in an emergency. Maybe you want to create a community garden together. So it creates a lot of resiliency in many ways. And we're also updating our comprehensive plan in the city, which is our long-term guide. And we're doing outreach around the learning networks around that as well. And that really will tell us, we have a 2030 comprehensive plan, and now we're going out to 2050. So it's our long-term plan. What does Raleigh want to look like? And we're really trying to ask the community and embed things like heat into that discussion, because it wasn't part of the discussion last time we did this. And that will help guide what our infrastructure looks like in the future. We have a lot of other things going on. I will say with heat, we also have a heat mapping. Another thing that Raleigh can be really proud of is we had the most people that ever came together to do this project with us to map our heat in Raleigh. And we have then taken that and we embedded it into various infrastructure funding that we have in the city to really try to help impact heat in the areas that have the worst heat islands. So, for example, we look at our green infrastructure, which we're already looking at the folks that are most impacted by climate change. And then we're layering on the flooding and the heat together to make sure that we're using our resources in the best way in the places that need it the most to help mitigate heat and flooding. We have a street tree project where we're making sure that street trees are available to make our pathways cleaner and more inviting and shadier and less heat impact as well. And we make sure we do that in the neighborhoods that need it the most first. And we have a cool pavement technology that's just really cool that actually reduces heat and also runoff from chemicals as well. And so we make sure we put that in as we're repaving roads in the areas that need it the most. So we're trying to think of a lot of ways to do that around heat, organizing the social fabric and then the infrastructure as well. And there's a lot going on around stormwater. We have a early warning system with that, with technology and smart city innovations that has been doing a fabulous job in helping us really be able to be preemptive and think about which neighborhoods might need to be evacuated early on if something's happening. How do we bring the water down in certain areas? How do we make sure people know what to do in certain areas when flooding is going to happen? So that's been very helpful. And it helps us then plan and see where things have happened in the beginning so we can better plan with our infrastructure. And then we have a really cool program I'm really proud of called The Workforce. It's a partnership with the Great Raleigh Cleanup, a local organization that does litter cleanups around Raleigh. And we are able to partner with them and some other really important organizations in the community, like a Pay What You Can cafe called Place at the Table. And we are able to pay a living wage to people experiencing homelessness to help us with beautification projects around the city. We have over 16 departments that helped us put this together. And Preston Ross, the executive director, is awesome. And it's a really amazing program, and really excited about the things that it's doing in the community to help people that need it the most and get other resources to them as well. And we know issues like homelessness are really about housing, but this is just a first step to kind of help support people and get them some experience if they want as well. And it's been really popular.
Thank you, Megan. I love that emphasis on the social fabric needed in communities. And then I think the learning networks and cohorts is a good transition to the next question around II is located in NC State. And I know that sustainability and smart urban growth are of great interest to our community, including both faculty and students. Are there programs or channels that students can engage in with the city's efforts?
Yeah, well, we love working with, I always say people are way more apt to listen to young people than me talk about this stuff too. And there's always really innovative ideas they can bring to this. So we have a really cool program called Partnership Raleigh. And there's a Pathways to Public Service Fellows program. That's a 6-month program in the city. We also have a climate intern program through the Partnership Raleigh program. These both provide pathways for young folks to come in the city. I wish things like this existed when I was in school. You get to work in a department on a real project and really learn about how things are done in the community and what the challenges and barriers and opportunities are. Those are really pretty cool and great resume builder for people. We have a lot of programs too that people can engage with every day. A couple examples are our Sustainable Business Toolkit and our Sustainable Neighborhood Toolkit. So these have resources from all over the city as well as the community that help people take climate action. So I would love if more folks got involved doing those things day to day and looking at, we try to create resources that meet people where they're at so they can pick out what makes sense for their lives, their organizations that they're working with. And then also that's a great thing to share out in the community and organize around are things like that as well.
Thank you. There's a lot of opportunity, I think, for people to get involved if they want to be. So the final question before we close, what is the next big issue in sustainability that you think leaders will want to explore together?
Yeah, well, we talked a lot about resilience today. There's a concept called resilience hubs, and these are just places that people already know and trust in their communities, and that you can add more to, like infrastructure and that social fabric programming that I was talking about. So it may look like a building that people already know and trust and they go to, but we can also add solar, energy efficiency to the building, EV vehicle charging, community gardens, lots of programming to make them even more resilient. And then you can layer on the other programs, like maybe you have a lot of the Ready Raleigh emergency preparedness packing parties there. You also just think about like what's walkable around the community. So there's some great examples of places I would argue are already these kind of resilience hubs. One is the Southeast Raleigh YMCA that has a school, a pool, a bank. They serve all different incomes. There's nonprofit headquarters there. There's green space. There's living space. There's access to transportation. So it's a place that people can go and do a lot of things that they need and create community. And then you can make those places even more resilient. And there's just different ways that each neighborhood might need different things. And so I just encourage us to kind of think about how we create more of these resilient hubs around the community. And there's a lot of strong organizations and people already doing those great things. And how do we just keep making those things stronger?
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here today. It's been great to learn more about what's happening in the university's backyard and about some other programs that North Carolina communities can implement and learn from. And I really do want to tour this wastewater treatment plant.
Oh yeah, no, everybody's welcome. We'll definitely have a big party. We've been working on it for a while. So excited to invite folks to come and see.
Thank you. To learn more about the upcoming Emerging Issues Forum on May 28th, visit emergingissues.org. Until next time, let's all stay connected.
This has been a presentation from the Institute for Emerging Issues at North Carolina State University. To learn more, please visit us at emergingissues.org.